Boom 0. r/AskReddit. Redditors who are not in love with their SOS. Why are you still with them? Good question OP. I'm in a relationship for the last 14 years and what I have to say is, love is amorphous. It changes what it is and is hard to pinpoint sometimes. Sometimes you will be mad at each other, sometimes you will share laughter and smiles and hugs and kisses. Sometimes you will be underwhelmed, sometimes you will be bored, sometimes you will be full of pride and appreciation, other times you will take them for granted. Sometimes the sex will be great, other times say me, but life goes on. Can anyone truly say they are in love constantly and without interruption always? Or is it something that ebbs and flows? I think the latter. But I am always loyal and feel allegiance to my partner and family. I always have the attitude that I am committed and we are on this journey together. And I certainly don't want to be with anyone else. So that's my 2 cents right now. Loved her dog. Being in love seems like a state over which you have no control. I long ago made the decision just to love the woman who became my wife. Fortunately she made the same decision about me. Romantic infatuation has faded, but our love for each other endures. It takes work to maintain, to avoid taking each other for granted. Love is not an emotion, it is a practice. My sister is a massive piece of shit. Constantly calls her husband limpy in front of people, in reference to his supposed limp dick. Tells him that she wishes he'd get in a car and drive off a cliff. I'm not saying she does this just when they are arguing. I mean she does this literally every single day, not even angry at him. He's been dealing with this bullshit for 20 plus years out of the 30 years they've been together. The reason he does not leave her is that she would be homeless if he did. She has a bunch of felonies for theft, identity theft, prescription forgeries, etc. She used to be a nurse, had a decent career. Now she wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere. He knows that if he were to leave her, there's a decent chance she'd die on the streets. Other than him, everyone has abandoned her at this point. Just a side note, he is an incredibly honest person. Never steals, does not do drugs, goes to work every single day and works hard. My boss has been vocal about wanting to leave, but he has kids and no prenup, so he can't afford it. My cousin told me about 3 hours after he got married that he didn't want to get married but now he was terrified he would lose his house and basically all his money, alimony plus child support, if they got divorced. I told him that he should have said something 3+ hours ago and he said he couldn't. I then asked him if this was such a big concern to him, why he didn't get a prenup. His exact words to me were, "Those don't actually exist, they're just made up for movies." They've been married just over 2 years now and I'm pretty sure it's only going to end if she leaves him or one of them dies. Considering he's 26 and she's 23 or 24, it sounds like he's in for a long, miserable life. Neither of us experience attraction but we still care deeply for each other. He's my best friend. Also the marriage was mutually beneficial. I was the one super in love. I don't think he was. Once every 4 or 5 months, we'd have some sort of discussion. The last time, it was that he didn't know if what we had was love. I should have seen that as a warning. But I convinced him to stay with me after an hour discussion. I think he felt guilty. I stayed with him through suicide attempts, drug-induced psychosis, and moved countries for him. I imagine he felt an incredible amount of guilt, and stayed with me because of that. I think he cared for my well-being maybe, but he wasn't in love. And it's painfully obvious now that I'm out of the relationship. I hate this one because I can't just chalk it up to someone being a jerk. It just sort of became a habit. And when I realized I didn't have the feelings anymore we had 2 young children and I didn't want to break up the family. And later when we tried couples therapy, this didn't change anything. But our son was diagnosed with leukemia 2 years ago. So I felt we had to stay together until he was well. My ex didn't agree and we were divorced this summer. My son is almost through the treatment and is doing fine. I have not been this happy and relaxed in years. And so far the kids, 6 and 9 years old, have coped well with me moving and when they're staying at my new place. From my sister-in-law, if I leave I'm the perpetrator, breaking up a marriage, wrecking a home, etc. and hurting and humiliating my kids, my parents, my in-laws. But if I stay I'm a victim of my miserable husband, and everyone wants to help victims. She's not wrong. I left, and I am now the bad guy and everything gets blamed on me. People can treat me however they want to, because ultimately it's my own fault for breaking up my marriage. Mostly this is my immediate family I'm talking about, and my ex. I mean, I do stand up for myself, but can't control other people. My brother can't stand his wife, hasn't really been in love with her since about a year before their wedding. He talks about divorce to me when we're alone, but he'll never do it. He thinks he'll never meet anyone else, being 32 with no social life. Plus there's a strong possibility she might kill herself if they broke up, or at least attempt it. So together they'll stay. I just hope they don't bring kids into it. I am currently in an amazing relationship. Textbook true love type of stuff. However, years back I was in a relationship with a woman who abused me physically, sexually and otherwise. And I did not love her, not for the last year or so when the abuse got bad. So why did I stay if it was so bad? Well, unfortunately, and this is true for abusive relationship as well as for mundane loveless relationships, people get wound up together and then it becomes very difficult to imagine your life without them, even if it's not a good life. I guess people are better at surviving the current hardship than breaking away into the unknown. There's a lot more to my story, and everyone's story has its own details. But I think that's the basic answer. You build a life with someone, it gets hard to throw that life away. I'm thankfully not in this relationship anymore, but out of fear that he'd do something to hurt himself. He threatened to do it when I first brought up that I wasn't happy in the relationship, and he became incredibly manipulative. A lot of people are stuck in a relationship for the same reason, and it's just so sad. I'm glad you could get out of it. Yup, mine was crazy manipulative and emotionally abusive, so he completely isolated me and made me feel totally worthless. He often acted like he would kill himself if I seemed like I was going to break up with him. So when I actually did, he made a huge scene, leaving in his car, calling me to tell me he was driving up north and was going to drive into traffic, and it was, of course, all my fault. I had done this. I told him that if he was actually going to hurt himself and or other people that I'm calling 911. First I called his close friends to see if he was making it up. Then I called his parents to let them know what was going on. I told his mom that my next call was to 911 because of the suicide threat and potentially killing other people. And she said, "Don't you dare do such a thing. If anything bad happens to him in any way, it is your fault." K. Learned where part of his issues came from right then. LOL. Called 911. Followed the ping on his phone for 2 days as he traveled north. Finally he stopped in a northern city and got a hotel room, where police got him. He ended up being sent to a psych ward for 2 weeks, where of course he called me several times whispering to let me know how much he hated me and that after he got out he was coming straight to over and was going to kill himself and that it was my fault. Fortunately he never did contact me again. He lived right around the corner for me. For other threats he made too, I tried to get a restraining order, but since he never made any direct threats saying he was going to kill me specifically, they couldn't do anything to help me. So I was just scared for 4 months until I moved to a new city. LOL. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. See you in the next video.